Hey, this can be commentary for the 16th chapter of my book Metadimensional. You can find the book on Kindle as an ebook and listen to it for free as an audiobook on Google Play. Links in the description. Okay, so chapter 16 is called Identification Skews. So a few videos back, commentary videos back, and there's a chapter dedicated to this. And I should say, all these commentary videos that I'm making, they are not replacing reading the book. They just come to, if you read the book or listen to it, and you need some more clarifications, and you need me to explain this in like in more, I don't know, human language, or you need whatever. This is what these videos are for. They're not a better explanation than the ones I'm giving, or as detailed explanation. But so I mentioned this thing called identification threshold. This identification threshold is like this. You can call it the iris of perception. Like determines how much of the objective substrate do you perceive at any moment. If you are focused on something, then your identification threshold is shrunk, and you only perceive the things that you care about, and everything else you don't. And if your identification threshold expands, then you perceive many forms, not just one form. And when your identification threshold is shrunken, when does that happen? It happens when you're very engaged with something, when you care a lot about one specific thing in your perception. That's when you're interested. That's when you're engaged, and that's when also time flies quickly. And the opposite is when identification threshold expands, when you perceive many forms. Well, while it could mean that you're interested in all these forms, but it often what it means that you don't find interest in any of them, and then time would slow down. But it's not clear whether that's we think of it as time slows down, the experiential time slows down because we're bored. But what if it's exactly related with the amount of forms that you perceive? The more forms you perceive, the slower time passes, and the less forms you perceive, the faster time passes, experiential time. Now you say, okay, who cares about experiential time? Who cares about perception? Well, you shouldn't care about this perceptual iris and all that stuff if you are a physicalist. If you think that experience just comes along for the ride and everything's determined by a physical world out there that is that exists irrespective of experience, and experience doesn't affect at all. But not so is the case with this theory. With this theory, there is no physical wakeful world, and so these perceptual aspects are crucial to determine what actually exists in wakeful physical reality. There is no wakeful physical reality, according to this theory, is perceptual, and if the perceptual iris shrinks, and if time passes more quickly for you, then time passes more quickly. And if you are, let's say, you're thinking about something, and because you're thinking about it, you cross a distance that, let's say, you feel like 5 minutes passed even though you walked for 30 minutes. Then what actually happens in such a condition is that, your experiential time is the constant thing. And what happened is that the distances that you crossed have shrunk, because you've just ejected stuff out of your perceptual iris, and now when you cross it, you don't need to cross it. You can just skip all the things that you didn't think about while you were thinking about something else. So what you actually are is by changing the identification threshold, you're changing if you think about it, you need to go from point A to point B, then you make the distance between point A and point B smaller. And you could perhaps even breach the speed of light this way if you do this focused enough and and for long enough, focused enough. Now, of course, this is all perceptual, and what about the perception of someone else? Like if I'm looking at you from the side and you're all laser focused about this one thing that you really care about and breaching the speed of light, but I'm seeing you and I'm not impressed. I'm not interested, and for me, time passes the same as always. Then what would happen is that we will have to somehow reconcile the differences between our accounts, and the more people are like me, not caring about the things that you care about, the things that make you laser focus on something, then you will, the ramifications of the differences will be more on your end. Of course, if that's the case. What if all of us are somehow laser focused on the same thing? Then it's like we speed up time. Not speed up time. It's like we speed up. It's like we can cross distances in much less exponential time, and we may actually be able to have like a different set of laws of nature, because we all agree on it, and the only reality there is a perception of reality. And if we all agree on that perception of reality, that's just reality. And so you get time dilations, basically. But these are physical time dilations, and you might think like, there's also like this other phenomenon that's called time dilations. That if you travel at this very high speed, then time slows down for you. But then you can see that actually is another way of interpreting the same scenario. Like if you, instead of thinking about that the perceptual time is determined by how much you care about something, you can say that the perceptual time is determined by how many things enter, how many forms enter your perception. And when you travel at very high speed, then you encounter a lot of forms hitting you, and the throughput grows, and that's why time starts to slow down. So I'm not saying it's necessarily a strong argument, maybe, but maybe it just shows that that what we call like general relativity or special relativity, both, it's just an extrapolation on the same dynamic, which is basically experiential. Now, so there's a lot to discover here. Like there's a lot to investigate here. I mean, if someone was able to realize this and somehow put this in the technology, somehow managed to change the identification threshold of many people at the same time and create what I call an identification skew, that everyone identification threshold is skewed from the normal way that it would, then that could explain you seeing things that don't defy physics in the skies, if you know what I mean. Like, I don't know. The potential in terms of technology here is quite vast. Although I can't say that I have like an application or a machine that I can tell you how to build. But if the principle is true, then this could there could be suggest like a kind of want to call it propulsion technology that is all determined by experiential concerns and perceptual concerns.